Okay, some more solving by completing the square. Oops, I forgot to finish this up. This is equal to 0. Period on me. And then what we'll do first of all is we want to have just an x, just a 1 in front of the x. So I can divide everything by -2, and that's going to fix it. So if I divide, oops, this is 3x squared, pardon me. Okay, so -2x squared plus 8x minus 18. So if I divide each term, every term by -2, I have x squared, -4x, positive 9 equals 0. Okay, so double check it. If I multiply -2x plus -2x squared plus 8x, negative times -2 is plus 9. So double check it, and that's fine. And then we just carry our process out. We isolate the x squared, so we have x squared minus 4x equals -9. We just subtract a 9 from both sides. And the square root of x squared is x. And what's half of 4? 2. This is a little nicer. What's 2 squared? 4. So we're going to add 4 to both sides. And this is going to be the same thing as -5. And now we know we're going to be able to complete this. This is a trinomial square, so we've got, this is the sign that goes here, and then we just put our little numbers in here, x and 2. Oops. And that equals -5. Looks like I'm going to have another complex number or imaginary number as part of my solution. So we know that if x minus 2 squared equals -5, x minus 2 equals plus or minus the square root of -5. And remember, we take out that I, so it's going to be plus equals plus or minus I times the square root of 5. We always take out the i's. And then if I add 2 to both sides, I have x equals 2 plus or minus I times the square root of 5. And if we write that in the standard form, it's a little awkward because if we put the I there, it kind of, sometimes it will run into there. I mean, you could do that. The standard form would be this. 2 plus or minus the square root of 5 times I, but you have to make sure that the I is far enough away so it doesn't look like it's the square root of 5I, just the square root of 5 times I. Okay, so that's number 7. How about example 8? (4x squared minus 16x plus 12 equals 0). So again, we want to get 1x squared, and it's easy to do because we've got all 3 terms are divisible by 4, so I'll divide everything by 4. And you're also going to divide the right, I should have said. We're also going to multiply this by, or divide this by -2, but 0 divided by -2 is 0. So that's nice. So we have x squared minus 4x plus 3 equals 0. So we divide everything by 4, divide by 4, you get 1, divide by 4, you get 4, divide by 4, you get 3, divide by 4, you get 0. And then again, we'll isolate, so our x squared and nx terms, so x squared minus 4x equals -3. And then again, my little numbers, x and half of 4 is 2. And then I'm going to add the squared, so 2 squared is 4, so add 4 to both sides. So this will come out a little nicer. So that's just going to be equal to 1, isn't it? 4 minus 3 is 1. So now we know that this is our sign, negative. The little numbers go in here. And that equals 1. So if x minus 2 squared equals 1, then we know that x minus 2 equals plus or minus the square root of 1, which is just plus or minus 1. And then if I add 2 to both sides, I have x equals 2 plus or minus 1. So x equals, and what's 2 plus 1? 3, or x equals, and what's 2 minus 1? 1. So those are your 2 possibilities. Okay, we'll try one more, example 9. Three x squared minus 18x minus 12 equals 0. And again, all these numbers are divisible by 3. We want a 1 in front of the x squared, so we divide everything by 3. So we have x squared minus 6x minus 4 equals 0. And double check. 3 times 1 is 3. 3 times 6 is 18. 3 times 4 is 12. So that makes sense. And again, we isolate. Oops. Pardon me. I should say 0 plus 4. I'm adding 4 to both sides. I'll do it like that to cover up for my faux pas. And then the square root of x squared is x. Then I take half of 6, which is 3. Oh, jeez. Get out my white out here. That's a 3. I hope you can see that. Half of 6 is 3. And what's 3 squared? 9. So we're going to add 9 to both sides. Okay, better double check this here. X squared, half of 6 is 3. 3 squared is 9. I add 9 to both sides. That looks good. And now I know that the sign goes here, and my little numbers go inside. This is going to be x minus 3. And that's going to equal, and 4 plus 9 is 13. So if x minus 3 squared equals 13, I know that x minus 3 equals plus or minus the square root of 13. I didn't need the parentheses, so I'll add 3 to both sides, so I get x equals 3 plus or minus the square root of 13, and that's your answer. And you could leave it like that. If you were going to calculate it out, it'd be 3 plus the square root of 13 and 3 minus the square root of 13. And again, you really didn't need this parentheses. That was kind of another little faux pas, so it's just x minus 3. Okay. So remember, always divide out. You can divide 0 by 3 and you get 0, so that's a nice thing. It may change the shape of the parabola, but it's going to have the same zeros. It's going to cross the axis at the same places.